Got you once. Let me get this gentleman here. I've already got you once. Let me get this gentleman here. And I'll come next.
What's your thoughts on giving the president line items?
Sir?
Line items. I think we've always had the problem with passing budget with lots of perks in it. What's your thoughts on line items?
This nation, I think, has come a long way with a lot of hopes and promises to American people, a lot of things that should not have taken place, and we've heard me identify some of them. I think line item veto is just a must. We have too many bridges to nowhere, we have too many perks, we have too many things that make absolutely no sense, and we've seen a lot of congressmen, not just them, we've seen a lot of people in Washington get in trouble. We need that new thought in Washington. Some people talk about transparency. I am a supporter of transparency. Yes, I think we should have that. Did you have a question earlier?
Yes. We're talking about limiting government and with healthcare. One of the issues I personally have with it, not speaking for anyone else, but personally, the Declaration of Independence is the pursuit of happiness. Where the guarantee of any monetary or any sort of property. Part of the dream of coming to the United States was the pursuit of happiness by pursuing these things. And I think with the spoke about guaranteeing healthcare and some of the other things that I just want to know, are you an advocate of guaranteeing these things, housing, healthcare, other stuff like that, or you're a proponent that we be allowed as businessmen and employees and whatnot to pursue these things and earn them ourselves and not have someone like the government pay for healthcare?
I think our nation is on the wrong road to mandate from the federal point of view what each of our citizens should have. Remember, Section 1, Article 8 says all powers not expressly given to the federal government and not divided to the states, preserved to the states and to the people. I believe that. I think federalism as we know it is dead. Once our federal government can say, you must have this, and you must have, excuse me for pointing, but individuals must have this, and individuals must have that. I think that our states are able to do a lot of the things, and should be able to do a lot of the things that our federal government is trying to do. I'm going to come back to you. I already got you. Who got me? Let me get this gentleman here.
Income tax. It's estimated that 50% of the country does not pay tax. If you don't have an investment in something, why do you have to care about something? If you don't have an investment in something, why would you care about something? What can we do about that? What can we do about the taxes?
Well, when I pause like this is what I want to say. I'm looking on my right and trying to say. I believe in the fair tax. I believe that a tax across the board is the best thing to do. I've not taken that on as a campaign promise or pledge just yet. I want to listen to what people in the district think. I think that taxes should be applied as they are earned. We don't go out to our backyard and start the weed, which is run by electricity, those that are, and pay gasoline, pay for gasoline that we don't need. So I think that people should, that taxes should be applied across the board. Yes, sir. And wait, can I ask you a question? Because you're looking down at this guy did not even answer my question. No, I'm not going to go there. You're important. I want to, and I'm important, so I want to know. Yes, ask me again.
What bothers me, and I've been in the tax business for 40 years, and I know the abuses that are out there, and I know the fact that the work I have doesn't get affected. And it bothers me that I'm paying their share. We need to address our system. Some kind of way. Well, like tax, okay,
all right, so I went off the deep end. I agree. I think taxes should be applied equally. I don't think some of the population should pay taxes and others in the population not. Someone mentioned, I think I saw it either on MSNBC, which we were forbidden to watch, but I watched it because we were forbidden to watch it. They said that some of the wealthy are not paying tax or not paying as much tax. We've seen some things that let me digress, that's happening in Iceland. We see things that are happening in Greece. We see France's response and Germany's response. I think that we need to get to a system where are, and all of those were not tax-related issues. I think they were responsibility-related issues. But all of our American citizens are responsible. And responsible, we're going to have an income tax law, and everyone should pay that tax. And they should pay a proportion of the tax according to what that law is. Now, I hope I answered yes, sir.
Yeah, in Charleston County, first off, I looked on your website and saw what you had to say about education, which I like. And if you could further expound upon that. Let me be a little specific in regards to Charleston County. We've had the same superintendent for 12 years, and we've sort of come up from the depths. But we're still in the bottom 20% of achievement for students. While we have a 13-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, and they receive 20%, they're the highest 20% in funding. Now, in your website, what you stated was the control and supervision of administration, and I would like to hear you speak about your education.
Okay, great. I'm really so glad to be here because I've never addressed these many people in this campaign so far. It's wonderful. I guess I'll hear about it later. Yeah, absolutely.
It's this one you got to worry about.
Jag off, you talk your way out of it. Yes, I do think that some of our administrators are more concerned about mortar and bricks than they are about education. I think that our teachers should be paid more, and I think that our parents should be more involved in the curriculum. Now, that said, I think education. I'm a supporter of the public-private partnership route, but I think education should be just that. We should be focused on education, and we should look at ways to reform education. And I think our administrators, where we have duplicative positions, where we have overlaps, I think we should look at those things, because I don't know if you've all noticed, but we're on a budget crunch, and positions are going to be lost, jobs are going to be lost. And I think when we look at education reform, particularly looking at our administrators and how things are done, we need to look at more cost-efficient ways of doing the things that we are currently doing. And by the way, I think cost efficiency is what is becoming across the board. We see what's happening down in Louisiana. Although our president says he says BP, but he says the industry is going to pay for it. A lot of these costs, particularly with a $75 million cap, a lot of these costs are going to be not only borne by American people, but they're going to be borne by some of the people affected by the disasters. And so I think across the board, we're looking at ways to have cost efficiency in almost everything that we do. Yes, and I want to digress. I'm not ducking you.
One observation.
Okay. All right.
Okay. The schools have got these kids for 6 hours a day. I volunteer in James City County and live for fixing up houses for low-income people. Until somebody fixes the incentives in the welfare system where these kids live for 18 hours a day and does something to start rebuilding the family structure, we're in deep trouble. I'm sitting in a house the other day, 18-year-old girl running into her grandmother. And it's all exciting because she got $243 a month in food stamps. And the killer line for me was, they asked me if I had a job, and I said no. And she said, the lady said, if you did have a job, you wouldn't have gotten food stamps. We've got to change the incentives in the welfare system around here big time, because I don't care how much money you pump into the schools, they've only got it for about a quarter of the day.
I don't think that's a new concept. I think, and I agree with you, I think that people would prefer to have jobs than they would prefer to have welfare. I think that people should prefer, whether they do or not, to have jobs rather than welfare, because incentives provide people with some of the satisfaction internally that they need, not just for themselves, but for the children that they raise. And our children, okay, I'm saying, but you want to get a word in.
No, I think we've got this thing institutionalized within 3 and 4 generations, and there's something dramatic needs to happen to cut this out of this for a certain segment of this population.
Yes, I category. Now, what that dramatic thing is, I think we need to develop and maybe discuss. Now, there's someone who's raised their hand. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Are there any hardball questions you'd like to answer that we haven't asked?
How we're going to win, how we're going to pull this off, how we're going to do it. We recognize that we're going up against Goliath. We're looking for that stone. We're building nothing shy of an army. And I told my team, I told our campaign that the right mathematical formula is there. If there ever was a time when the stars aligned themselves just right, if there ever was a time when the moment was just right, I think we've seen Bobby Scott face opponents before. And, one of the things I use when I go into the African American communities is I tell them this really is not personal. I am not the Republican coming here saying, well, you must do this, or I'm for George Bush. I believe George Bush did some things which were incorrect. But I will tell you that if you look at parts of our 3rd district, I think Mr. Scott has been there so long, he either doesn't want to fix it, or he's reached a level where he cannot fix it, and we need to change. Now, yes. And then I'll get to this gentleman.
Regarding your background, have you ever owned a business or had to make payroll?
Well, yes. Did I fail to mention that I'm a practicing lawyer? I've been a lawyer for the last 31 years. And I'll say this, and let this word go forward, if you will. I'm the only lawyer, probably, and I hope I'm right in this, that you'll ever meet in your life. I hope, perhaps that might not be wrong, who has been a solo practitioner, that has hung his own shingle out for 28 years. I met a lawyer once. I was applying to be a judge, and he and I were sitting in a room together, and he said, "Hey, man, you think you're going to get it?" I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to get it." He said, and I said, "You think you're going to get it?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, boy, I can't leave. I've been a sole practitioner for 7 years, man, and it is the toughest thing. I hope I get this job." And I didn't say anything. I sat there, 7 years, is that it? Yeah. There are a lot of lawyers, and I'm sure the camera's rolling. You'll probably find somebody who's been a solo practitioner for 29 years, but I haven't found it. Yes, ma'am. I've been, and I'm a current practicing lawyer right now. And my secretary, although she loves me to death, she hopes I get the Congress.